This is the Everyone's Agnostic Podcast with Cass Midgley and Marie Delafont.
We interview people you don't know about a subject no one wants to talk about. We hope to encourage people in the process of deconstructing their faith and help curb the loneliness that accompanies it. We think the world is a better place when more people live by sight, not by faith. Please subscribe to our podcast and leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, you can support us monetarily in 2 easy ways. You can pledge
$1 million
or more through Patreon. That's patreon.com/EA podcast, or leave a lump sum donation through PayPal at our website, everyone'sagnostic.com. The smallest contribution is greatly appreciated.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 235 of the Everyone's Agnostic Podcast. I'm Cass Midgley. Someday, each of us are going to go to sleep and never wake up. A big thanks to each and every one of our PayPal and Patreon supporters. Today, Marie Delafont and I chat with each other. I've noticed that this podcast has become increasingly familial. And by that I mean we sometimes talk about people in the community that have formed around this show as if everyone knows who and what we're talking about. At best, it's innocent, naive, and virtually unavoidable due to the nearly 5 years that we've been on the air. At worst, it can feel exclusive, cliquey, and what Bob referred to as inside baseball. See, I just did it again. Hundreds of you probably don't know who Bob is. And what I want to say is, that's okay. I just felt the need to say, yeah, we know, and we're aware, in case you were starting to get annoyed by it. And now, my wonderful co-host, Marie, has this episode's opening monologue. I'll close with a reflection at the end, about 2 hours from now.
Last weekend was one of the most fulfilling times of my life. I flew out to Murfreesboro, Tennessee to hang out with Cass, his family, and the local EA community there. Cass and I had met only once before at the first EA retreat in October of 2018. We didn't get to spend much time together before we discussed adding me onto the show. So the purpose of last weekend was really, ultimately, for us to get to know each other a bit better. We spent a lot of time talking about the same things we talk about on the show, being an ex-Christian, sexuality, death, relationships. I found myself in a constant state of shock. I couldn't believe that I was a part of this podcast, of this community. I couldn't believe that I had the privilege to count Cass, his family, and the entire EA community as part of my tribe. I couldn't believe that people valued what I had to say and valued my contributions. I struggled to find any words to appropriately describe the sense of value, of love, of purpose, of validation that I felt. I met a number of listeners in Tennessee who shared their appreciation for my voice, for how I balance out Cass, for how we built great things together. I was speechless. I spend my time on weekends having really good talks with Cass and our guests, and then I don't really think much about it afterwards. But being face to face with the listeners and hearing how it's impacting their lives soothed my soul. I'm deliberately not using the word humble. I'm not humbled by this. I am proud. I am strengthened because of this. As I mentioned, at the gathering of listeners on Saturday, my path of doubt and the fallout of leaving religion has been a deep source of shame for me. I felt constantly like I wasn't good enough. Why can't I just get over this? Why does it linger? Why does it affect me in these ways? And so I've had to fight hard, and I was ashamed of that. But hearing listeners respond to me and to the show turns that whole framework upside down. I am strong because of my struggles. What we have gone through, listeners, is nothing to be ashamed of. The struggles we have do not indicate weakness. We are strong for even surviving. I honestly don't know how I survived sometimes, but after this weekend, I can't help but look at my life and see nothing but strength. Nothing to be ashamed of. I had a fantastic time, and I already can't wait until the next time I get to interact with the community again. And now, this next episode, you'll notice we don't have any guests. This episode, it's just Cass and me. We recorded in person together for the first time and found some fun philosophical rabbit holes to explore. We also talked about community member Dave Warnock, who, some of you know, was diagnosed with ALS and has a few years left to live. I got to see Dave last weekend and witness how he's handling life and death. It was fucking inspiring, and you'll hear me talk more about that in Cass and Mai's discussion. But I do want to briefly share with the community that I have volunteered for Dave to be his assistant until he doesn't need me anymore. That means that right now he has a page on the Everyone's Agnostic website where you can access his blog, a calendar of his travels, and a contact form to schedule time with him if he's traveling to your area. Go to everyone'sagnostic.com and click on Dave. And now, before we get to the magic, that is Cass and myself, I just wanted to announce that last weekend Cass and I did a Facebook Q&A. If you want to check it out, you can find it on our Facebook feed or on our YouTube channel. We had such a good time, and we're planning to do it again, probably quarterly. And if you've been following us on social media, you already know that we are planning our next Everyone's Agnostic retreat. It will be either the first or third weekend in October at a cabin in the Smoky Mountains. At this point, if you are interested at all, email us at everyone'sagnostic@gmail.com to be added to the email list for initial planning. I also just want to let listeners know that if you want to be added to the private support group on Facebook or the virtual small group that has a video chat twice a month, please email us also at everyone'sagnostic@gmail.com. Additionally, go check out the podcast Odd Atheist Friends. I was recently a guest on their show, and they are super fun. Matt and Eric made me laugh so hard. Check it out. Also, check out another great podcast I recently discovered, Deconversion Therapy. And lastly, if you want to get any merch, we've got some Say Yes to What Is stickers that you can buy through our website. And lastly, I want to greet our listeners in the Netherlands. Bedankt voor het luisteren en zeg jatagen wat is. And now, for Cass and me. So,
It's Sunday afternoon.
it's Sunday afternoon. I woke up 4 hours ago.
And even though nightlife is not necessarily your scene, I shoved it down your throat last night anyway.
I'm here to experience, you
Yeah.
know, and then the next time that opportunity comes around, I'll probably say no.
Yeah, you will not give consent.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. And so I've been here all weekend in Tennessee with you and with the community here, and we have done a lot of cool stuff. And so we're making this extra episode just because we wanted to experiment with what it would be like to record an episode together, and which is what you're going to hear after this opening monologue-ish thing intro.
How do you say duologue-ish? Or like
Because it's not mono, it's bilogue.
dialogue.
It's almost like there was a word already created for that.
I wasn't fishing for that. I mean, I couldn't think of it until you said
yeah.
dialogue.
So we're having a dialogue.
Not a monologue.
Not a monologue, but a dia. And yeah, so we figure we'll probably talk about what happened this weekend, right? I learned that literally no one listens to the show and that I have made no impact on anyone and none of my experiences are valuable, and my life is worthless. That's what I figured out.
And your voice is impotent.
Yeah, and
Your impact is nil.
is negligible. It is. Yeah, it is not. It does not matter.
All sarcasm aside, is that saying the opposite?
I am
Okay.
indeed saying the opposite, and I'm using comedy as a coping mechanism.
So
Har 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 har.
So what were the what's the evidence that made that, brought that to your face?
Well, a shit ton of people said it.
Yeah.
A shit ton of people said it, and it was overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been doing this show for a couple of months now from my house in Minnesota, and I have one listener in North Dakota who I know, but other than that, in Minnesota, I'm not sure who listens, and so I don't talk to anyone on a regular basis who talks about the impact of the show, except with the exclusion of that we get emails from listeners and stuff, but I don't know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the people in the private group, I don't know who they are, and they'll say nice things about me, and I'm like, oh, that's cute. Who made you write that? That's how my brain works. Who put a gun to your head? I don't know. That's how I work in my brain. And so yesterday we hung out with the I don't know do they have a name? The group of people?
Well, just the EA support group.
The EA support group?
Yeah, the local.
What is it's MXTT?
Oh, MTXX is Middle Tennessee Ex-Christian.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. So yeah, so we hung out with them, and it was fucking insane. It was fucking insane. There was one guy that came in, Corey, and he came in the door, and he turns to me, he's like, Marie. I'm like, who are you?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you know who I am? He's like, oh. And then later on, he was like, oh yeah, I was fangirling all over you. I'm like, oh my God, people fangirl over me. And Mindy's totally not here and just worshiping me right now.
She's taking pictures of her donut.
Yeah, she's just taking pictures of my donut, the important moments in today. Oh, and then she's kissing my head.
So we can say that Mindy has officially been on the show now.
Yeah.
I was here.
Would you like to say hello?
No.
Okay. I'm sure her voice reached here. It's done. You've
Oh,
been
yeah.
on the show. She's a former guest. It's done.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't call her a
Can I
guest.
join the group now?
Oh, yeah.
Am I officially-
Yeah, you've always been part of the group.
Because I'm on air.
Yeah.
You've been in the group for a long time.
I'm in the group.
You are the group. The dog's leaving.
Our
Yeah.
mascot.
Sorry.
I saw that you'd posted that.
Yeah, why not? And
So face to face.
yeah, so face to face.
People praising you is well, and let's talk about that because I've said before, and you and I've talked about this, that some of the ways that we kind of put up a force field against other people's praise is we just find it so hard to believe they must be lying. Like you said, who paid you to write this?
Yeah.
It can be a way that things bounce off of us,
Yeah.
such that we don't really ever say yes to that, and just give them the benefit of the doubt that they're honest and that they have no reason to say this. They gain nothing from saying it. There are some circumstances where people could gain something, but these are cases where they're not. They don't have to say it. They're saying it anyway.
Yeah.
And so let that in.
Yeah.
Believe it.
Yeah. This makes me think of my boyfriend, and one of the goals in his life is to believe people when they say that they're attracted to him.
Mm-hmm.
Because he has body image issues, as do I, and so we relate to that together. And so, yeah, his goal is if someone tells you that they're attracted to you, you don't get to doubt that. They are telling you that they're attracted to you, whether you think that you're attractive or not.
Mm-hmm.
And so if people are telling me that they like me on the show, that I'm having an impact on their lives, then that's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's challenging to accept, and I don't know why it is challenging to accept, but I think back to last night, I was rendered absolutely speechless a number of times.
Now let's give the context to the listeners.
Oh yeah, sorry.
What it is it's a group of people sitting around a living room, and everybody gets 3 minutes to check in.
Yeah.
And so they have the option to pass, or they can say, this is a movie I watched last night, or they can say, my mom's dying of cancer and I'm freaking out. I mean, they can get as real as they want or anything.
Yeah.
It's just their time, but it's to be uninterrupted so that everybody feels like that they are going to get their time.
Yeah.
And I think it helps people listen better because they're not, well, sometimes people are like thinking about what they're going to say when it comes around to them. So they aren't listening. But so what? Anyway, that's the context. And so the speechless thing was like the things that people were sharing were X. I mean, good, heavy, deep, profound, loving, thoughtful, needy. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Just expressing a need and being honest and being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And saying, I'm having a hard time this week or this month or whatever.
Yeah.
Everybody's free to say what they want without judgment.
Right. Right. And it was interesting how it started. Like, obviously, we had a little bit of time to socialize beforehand, and it was really intense because, like, that former Christian singer, she came up to me, someone who's a celebrity in your experience, and I don't know her, but, like, and she just came up to me, and, like, her and her husband had recently deconverted. Was it them?
Yep.
Yeah, like a few months ago.
This was their first meeting.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And they had been binging the show. But recent ones, I guess. So she knew me, and so she was...
Yeah, starting with the new ones and going backwards, probably.
Yeah. So she was talking about, like, just being grateful for what I bring to the show and, like, really enjoying me. And I'm just sitting there, like, I don't even know what to say, like, because... I didn't know what to say. Many times I was able to find some words, and I was like, I don't know what to say, and I feel really awkward, but keep talking.
Right.
I like the words that you're saying, and they feel good inside.
But I mean, you're cool with saying thank you for saying that, or
I
thank
am.
you. I mean,
I'm not going to
simple
reject
gratitude.
it. Yeah. I've said thank you many times this weekend. Yeah, so there was a number of conversations like that before we got into any kind of a structured situation, and then once we finally did our 3-minute check-in per person, you and I were sitting next to each other, and I was to your right, and then the rest of the circle was in a circle, and you went first, and I started dying when you were like, okay, my 3 minutes has started. I'm going to use my 3 minutes to talk about Marie. And I was like, oh, I'm dead. Okay, I'm dying. My life is over. What the hell is happening? And then you said a lot of really nice things for 3 minutes. And then you were done.
And it was your turn.
And then you were like, okay, do we go right or do we go left?
To Janine.
And then you're like, oh, let's just go right. Let's just go to Marie. And I was just feeling it all of like, oh my God, like, what is my life? Like, where am I? Like, just looking around and like, holy shit. Wow. And so I just exhaled and I was like, and then the person to your left looked over to me. She's like, it's okay. If you don't want to go, you don't have, you can, we can go around the other way. And she was very lovingly coddling me and giving me permission to pass or to make a different arrangement. And that's where I was like, no, if I didn't want to go, I would say something. And then you like nearly like toppled over like, yeah, that's my girl. And I was like, oh, that felt fun. And then I went, and I think the first 30 seconds were pure silence.
Right.
'Cause and that's why like most of this dialogue is pure silence so far, 'cause I was just rendered speechless. And I don't know any English words for what I'm going through, as far as becoming intimate with the impact that I'm having on people's life in an arena that I think is the most important thing, which is to recover from religion, that I'm impacting people positively in the realm of recovering from religion.
It doesn't get any better than that.
No.
For you. That's fulfilling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm just sitting in this room looking at these people around me, people who support me, people who are partnered with me, working on the show, like hearing all this feedback and just feeling this deep sense of fulfillment in this area of my life. And then mentally taking a trip back to Minnesota, looking around Minnesota, seeing those 3 partners that I have there, and just mentally feeling all the support and love that I have there. And I kept spinning in circles in my head, looking for where's the pain? Where did the pain go? I can't find it anymore. Like all I feel is like happy and just like fulfilled and loved. And I don't know where the pain went. And it'll come back, but just like for a little while there, I just, everything was okay. I think one of the things I said last night that really sticks with me as being really, really true was that I said, my struggle with faith starting as early as 13 when I started to doubt, going through high school, up and down atheist, Christian, atheist Christian, galvanizing myself and becoming a missionary, becoming an atheist missionary, then slowly deconverting, then dealing with an eating disorder, then dealing with like all this bullshit, and then wanting to kill myself. All of this shit has been such a source of shame for me. Like, I just feel like I've felt like I'm so behind, like I'm so broken, that I have so many issues. And I carry so much shame that I'm not good enough because I'm so broken. And I come to find that it's not a source of shame. That when I tell my story, when I manifest who I am on the earth because of what I've gone through, that impacts people, and it strengthens people. It's not shame. They don't turn to me and ridicule me. They turn to me and are lifted up by it, which is absolutely 100% opposite of what my brain has thought for, how long has it been? 36 minus 13. That many years. I can't do math in my head. So there's been something extremely healing about that this weekend. Really having that driven home, really having that driven home in my head that not only am I enough, that I am beyond enough. Like, and again, we're getting into the conversation that we're going to have in the upcoming recording about using qualitative statements for yourself as a human being. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just really feel alive. I feel like I'm doing what I want to do. And I don't know.
Yeah.
English fails me.
Well, the thing about last night when it was your turn, and we literally have a stopwatch for the listener. I mean, your time is ticking. And so there's a little bit of pressure, I guess, to start talking. And as everyone, and I was, to this group's credit, there's a lot of maturity and there's a lot of compassion, and everybody there can pretty much relate to everybody else's pain on some level. And so it was not odd or lost on this group, those silences. So the silences were just as rich as the greatest speech you could have made, in a way, as far as what it conveyed to people in the room, what they heard, what they got out of the silence, and how they found themselves in your silence, relating to your silence. So my experience was, because I love real. I love honesty, and I love humanity. I love the human condition, which is that's a work. Getting to that place was and is a work. But I love it. I love the human condition. And the human condition is that. It's complex. We don't have words for it. It's fucked up.
Yeah.
We are in a meat grinder most of the time. And just painful, trying to make sense of our lives, whatever, and stepping on glass the whole way.
Yeah.
And so instead of that being like on radio, an awkward silence or something, it was this is an overused term, pregnant silence.
Yeah.
It was just powerful. And then, in a way, several other people, when it came their time, and I said, ready, go, started the timer, they too, both Dave and Brian.
Oh, yeah.
Just trying to think, how do I want to put this, or what's going on in my heart and mind that wants to come out, wants to be said, and how do I put that in? So, yeah, the limitations of vocabulary.
It was cool to be supportive of Dave all night.
Right. Yeah. And bless his heart, he doesn't want to be the center of attention. But,
I know.
But there was that we don't know. It's not like he's going to die before next month's meeting.
Yeah.
But because of his plans right now to travel, there is a chance that could be the last meeting that he ever attends because he could be gone every other month until he dies.
He's busy living, yeah.
He is very busy living.
Yeah.
And so it had that kind of, potency. And people, unlike myself, where he's going to move in with me, so I'll have all access to him.
Yeah.
People don't have access to him. People don't have they want that engagement to be able to say goodbye or I love you or this is what you've meant to me or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think it was unavoidable that it was kind of, centered around the elephant in the room, which is not Dave, but death.
Yeah.
Impending death coming right there. It's upon him.
Yeah.
With or without his permission or knowledge or just like the rest of us, but it's just more poignant.
Right. I found myself inspired by him in a lot of different ways in that, like, the way he looks at life is already how I look at life and how I want to continue to look at life and get more settled into. And just seeing someone that I can relate to in terms of his philosophy of life, seeing someone that I can mirror back into, seeing him manage death makes me feel stronger because I haven't seen anyone do death yet the way that I would want to do it. And so that's one of the things I love about him, that he's living his death out loud, that he's sharing, that he's being very aware of what he feels, that he's not hiding it or protecting other people. He's being really honest about the experience. And that's such a gift for all of us. And I felt bad for him every time he brought up how bad he feels for those around him and how much hurt they feel. Because when we were at his apartment yesterday helping him pack and stuff, there was several people there who were constantly feeling waves of emotion and crying. And yes, Dave did too at times, but also like he very clearly sets the model for how he wants people to deal with it. And so as I watched him talk and work through things yesterday, I was like, I don't think he wants us to be super sad and hurt and whatever. Like, he accepts this, I accept it. And now maybe it's the executive assistant in me that I just kind of filter out the non-relevant things. Like, we don't need to be sad and fixate on things because that's not going to help. That now we just need to focus on the next thing at hand, and maybe that's a saying yes to what is feature. Like, so now he wants to live life fully. So I'm looking at myself and I'm like, okay, so this is his fixation right now. He doesn't want to fixate on the death part. He wants to fixate on the living part. All right, how do I support that? Like, because he gets to decide what this realm of death is going to look like for him. And so then that's when I was like, hey, can I help you with like a travel calendar or something? Like, I'm crazy good at that shit. And like, anytime
even
anyone,
an appointment scheduling, because people
they want to make time with him.
So both end.
Yeah. And so like anytime someone brought up like, hey, anyone tried to brainstorm with him on something or like try to strategize something or plan something with him when we were at his apartment yesterday, he would just shake his head and just like, I don't fucking care, and just walk away. And I'm like, that's a man who needs an assistant. Like, he doesn't fucking care about those details, yet the next 1 to 2 years of his life would benefit from administration to make it the most efficient and potent as possible, and he doesn't want to do it.
But he does want it to be potent, but doesn't want to do the work to make it potent.
Right. So that's why I was like,
right,
Dave.
There's a spot.
Dave, let me help you, man. But anyway, we're like totally off track now. But
well, let me go back to what you said about the way it saddens him when people are saddened by his loss, and what do you do with that? And I think there's something there worth inspecting for all of us. In that, I had a college professor, and it was a kind of a writing class, but we were going to be doing some writing. And the one thing that it was almost like, what's the one thing that will absolutely destroy your piece that you're about to write? that will make it shit. And, all these words are popping up from the class. Run-on sentences. Nope. Poor vocabulary. I don't. Nope. Et cetera, et cetera. Finally, he comes down to sentimentality. Who saw that coming? Right? It's a thinker. And that's what I'm asking us to do, because I think what Dave's asking us to do is, hey, I get that you love me. I know that you're going to miss me.
Yeah.
And this is really hard for you.
Yeah. And
you can't just say, I don't have strong feelings about Dave and his dying, because I fucking do.
Yeah.
So now what do I do with those feelings, and how do I express them, either back to Dave or just in my own practice?
Right.
And I'm wondering if sentimentality does not serve us, does not serve Dave, doesn't serve us, it doesn't serve our feelings or the expression thereof.
Yeah.
If we can have them, we can express them, but if there's a way for us to maybe filter out the sentimentality or avoid language of sentimentality, or even, just, and what does that mean? Like, what is the definition of sentimentality? And maybe in this case, here's what happens. This is why it's not a far leap for you to be expressing to Dave how much you're going to miss him before it crosses over into making it about you.
I just wrote down right here, decenter ourselves.
Yes. Because,
and this is a phrase that we used, like when we were talking about racism and stuff, like not taking things personally, or when we talked about misogyny, like not taking things personally and just witnessing what's in front of us. But anyway, like decenter ourselves from his experience. Like it's his experience, not ours. And moreover, like I certainly don't want to add more emotional labor into his life by reminding him how sad I am. Like that's our burden to carry when he's gone. Mm-hmm. We need to do the grieving when he's gone. And in the meantime, I don't know, it just feels distracting to ask him to keep in mind how sad we are.
Well, what's he supposed to do with that?
I know. Like, what is he going to do?
What is he supposed to do with that?
Yeah.
Are you looking to get a reaction out of him so you'll feel I'm in the inner circle of Dave or I'm special to Dave too as much as he's special to me? Don't come to that engagement with neediness. Because Dave is already carrying his own shit, and he's not going to have the strength or will to carry yours.
Yeah.
Or to hold you up, or to somehow prop up your insecurities by expecting him to affirm back to you something that you need to hear.
Yeah. This
is maybe what we're talking about. And this is a lot. This is pretty decent amount of self-inspection and self-awareness that we're asking for.
Yeah.
But not apologizing.
Around death too.
Yeah.
Which is tough.
But we're not apologizing for asking for it because it's a self-help way, I guess, in a way to say, okay, maybe here's a way that we can be better responders to death.
Yeah.
And to love and to our feelings.
Yeah.
So just looking up the dictionary.
Sentimental.
Of or prompted by feelings of tenderness, sadness, or nostalgia.
I think the nostalgia word really hits it on the head for me. Right. Yeah.
I mean, we can say, remember that trip to Barcelona? And we can say, those were all things, but really you're shaking your head. What are you feeling about that?
Just like, I would never say that to him. If I had gone to Barcelona, I would right now, if I'd gone.
Look, you did the retreat with him. Would you ever
I'm not
remember we were sitting in the hot tub that one time and you flipped off the camera? Like, we're not going to go there. You don't feel that would.
I don't want to, personally.
He probably doesn't either.
Like, what are we doing today? Where are we going today?
Yeah.
Like, I can relate to where his mind is right now. He doesn't want to go back. Like, I imagine. I'm projecting for him, but I don't imagine that he wants to go back and relive everything. He's here, he's now. His timer is very much in his face. He wants to focus on now. Mm-hmm. And what's the next thing he's going to do? What's the next thing he's going to squeeze in? What's the new moment he's going to make? He's already made those moments. Mm-hmm. He's a creator. He's not a appreciator. He's not looking back at all the things that he did, is my impression of him. I'm speaking for him, of course. But yeah,
let me clarify what I think he would say to that.
Okay, yeah, you know him better.
They go up on the wall as fucking A, that was an awesome moment. And so they're there.
Yeah.
They're not just obliterated or even minimized or diminished. I mean, like that fucking rocked.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad we did that. Those kind of things are there.
Yeah.
But he would, and I think all of us would say, we can overappreciate or overemphasize that and find ourselves the good old days. Find ourselves unable to see the miracle that's happening right in front of us.
Yeah.
Because we're so focused on, remember that great thing that happened? Well, it doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
Well, it's happening right now, you motherfucker, if you'd open your eyes or whatever.
Yeah.
Or just bring yourself to this moment.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Call that what it was. Awesome. Now what?
You're wasting now talking about the past.
Yeah.
And his now is so precious.
Yeah.
I guess that's why I don't feel like bringing up the... Right. You're right. And there's a more immediacy for him of it being precious, though. But, like, yeah, that's why I don't... It depends on the situation, but intuitively, that's not a place I would be going with him. Like, I don't know.
So this is cool. We're talking about a pretty mature person. As far as this, it would take... Oh, my God, I just used a mature word. Oh, my God, I can't believe I did that. No, but
they don't know yet why that's a problem, because I think we're doing that after this.
Oh,
Who knows how you're going to edit this? That's your problem, not mine.
Yeah. Well, that's a foreshadowing of our later talk, which was previous to this taping.
Yeah.
Who knows how this is going to come out? Who cares?
I don't care. Life is chaos, and so is our podcast.
Yeah. Well, let's sum up, though, the weekend.
Yeah.
You're leaving, like, really, really early in the morning, so we're looking at, like, the remaining, 4 or 5 hours or whatever of time together without being sentimental.
Yeah, no, I have no interest in that.
No, I'm just saying, without being sentimental, we are looking back and saying, is it a good question to say, what did I learn? Or, I mean, that's kind of what you were saying is that before you were like, I had no idea the impact I was having on real people.
Mm-hmm.
And,
And honestly, I'm going to go home and probably forget again.
Yeah.
Because it's not in my face. And I think every time that I come down here or go to Florida and see Dave or go to another retreat, it's just going to be a booster shot of just remembering the impact that I have. Because it's just, without being involved in person, it's just really easy for my brain to stop wasting resources on thinking about things that I can't see. Mm-hmm. So I'll probably forget again. And that's okay.
I can guarantee you will, because I do it. And maybe, I don't know if it's our memory, but, like these, just a manual toy, non-electric or, engined in any way, shape, or form, a spinning top. You spin it. And that's kind of what in this scenario, the feedback from people does to us. It's like, boom, it spins.
Yeah.
But it's going to stop, after a while. And then the sadness of that, maybe not sadness, that's a judgment. Or should I say the high maintenance-ness of being human, is that, man, today I'm feeling so good about being this podcaster that I am.
Yeah.
But there will be days in the near future or far future or whatever where you, like you said, forgot all of that. You're saying to yourself, this is pointless. It's a waste of my time. Nobody's listening. It's not affecting anybody or whatever.
Yeah.
And then somebody comes along, spins the top again,
Yeah, I haven't gotten there so far yet. I don't feel like this is a waste of my time at all. It's just that my brain is just that way where it just doesn't imagine the things that I don't see typically. Mm-hmm. And so I know it's worthwhile. I know it's an important thing to do. And so stoically almost, I do it. More so it's edifying to me to have these conversations, because there's not a lot of people that I've met that are willing to talk about death and sexuality and relationship dynamics. So it's my outlet for that. And and so obviously this is not completely altruistic, because altruism doesn't exist, but, and so it's just, it pays off in its own ways. And then also when I get to witness people affected by me, that's when words die. That's when I can't talk anymore. Like, just Jesus, like the things that some people were saying yesterday, like, yeah, I mean, I listened to the show on the way to work, and I'm like, I'm honored. Like, I'm fucking honored. And there was one guy that was like, yeah, I forward through everything and just listen to your monologues, Marie. I'm like, whoa. 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 Like, I don't know what to do about that. Like, wow.
Yeah. So when I say that you're going to hit places where, it feels bad, everybody, you especially having been around that long, remember that after 100 episodes, I told everybody I was quitting.
Yeah.
We're gonna do 100 episodes and call it off.
Yeah.
And then there was enough feedback though.
Yeah.
There was like, we really need this.
Yeah.
And then I probably was tempted at 200 or 400 or.
Seemed like a nice round number.
Yeah, just let's round number. Bob's leaving. Let's just And my life is busy, and I don't make any money doing this, and so to speak of, I mean, it pays for itself as far as all our membership fees to iTunes or all the news feeds and stuff that we have. But it's it comes and goes. And I more than anything, I appreciate you absolutely took the initiative to do this. This was not my idea, and right up until this moment, or at least the moment that you got here, I didn't know why we were doing it, and I didn't know why we were doing the live Facebook thing or what that was going to look like. And yet now that we've done it, it was like, oh shit, that was great.
Yeah, you want to talk about that?
People loved it. I loved it.
Yeah,
you loved it. And we're probably going to do it more often.
I'd love to. Yeah.
So these are things where you took the initiative to say, we need to do a photo shoot with you and I together. Okay. Tell me what to do, Marie.
I don't wanna, but I'm gonna. You did not like that.
And then, let's do some strategizing. Mm-hmm. Are we going to do more merchandise?
Yeah.
Are we going to make the show shorter?
Yeah.
What's our vision? What's our mission? What are we doing this for? And at what point do we care about what the listener thinks? I mean, what's our goal? And then, whatever. Just the stuff that you wanted to talk about. Mm-hmm. So I saddle up or waddle up to the table to say, okay, what do you want to talk about? But my heart, wasn't in any of this until it was happening. And then I was like, okay, well, this is really beneficial. This is benefiting me. And that's the nature of not only administrative skills like you have, but when we don't know what we don't know, that's a blind spot.
Yeah.
I mean, so just this is the language problem. I mean, as far as like, I was about to say, how would it ever enter my imagination we should do a Facebook Live if it's not in my imagination to do a Facebook Live? I mean, something has to be presented, or a symbol has to be inserted into my brain so that I now know what that even is.
Yeah.
And now I can decide whether I want to do that or not. But when I don't even know what that is, or like, how, the main thing about that, I mean, obviously I see people all the time doing live Facebook feeds, so I know what it is.
Yeah.
But when you called it a Q&A.
Yeah.
And I just thought, there's nobody that has a question for us, Marie. Nobody wants to know what we have to say about anything. Which is stupid, because we are a show and thousands of people listen, so they do want to know what we have to say. But I just thought, why are we asking them if they have any questions? Because they're not going to have any. Anyways,
I am amused that you did not articulate any of this beforehand.
Oh, I was just sorry.
We could have hashed it out.
Well, I was in it. I was going to do it. Mm-hmm. But like, even when Mindy I was telling Mindy that, okay, Marie's coming up for this weekend. Well, what's it about? I don't know. It's her idea. And I, even today, driving back from Nashville to here, she says, what's your afternoon like with Marie? I don't know. Whatever she wants to do. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for your initiative, for your forthrightness, to say, let's do this. Honestly, this is the nature of, like, to me, my experience with my leadership over the years is that I'm normally the one that just takes the bull by the horns and says, we're going to do this, and leadership. And the thing about that type of person, or in this case, me, is that it's not that I don't want to be led around like I'm a tyrannical narcissist or something, to where I like being bossy because I like being at the top. No, I like being bossy because it's in my DNA. a doer, a risk taker, initiative, entrepreneurial, or whatever. A healthy entrepreneur is not, don't tell me what to do. It's that, what type of person does it take to tell an already oozing with leadership DNA type person? It's you. So like even this week, like the people that know me, the people that are around the show, I mean, in some ways, I mean, Bob and I started the show as like equals. Well, guess what happened to that? I took over and he became passive. And that was just our roles. And we love each other.
Yeah.
We loved those roles.
Yeah.
It naturally developed and became a great mechanism and a great dynamic.
Yeah.
So the people that are used to me being the one that calls the shots on the show are probably going, wow, Marie's really taken over the show.
And I like this, or I hate it.
Well, yeah, they can form an opinion about it. But what I think it says, it speaks to your strength and your knowledge of your wheelhouse. Like, I'm good at this, and I know I'm good at this. I've got some ideas that I think could help you. I'm sensing your inhibitions or maybe even your resistance, but I'm asking you to trust me. You didn't ever have this conversation with me, but this was kind of embedded in the relationship. Mm-hmm. Is that I'm asking, let's work with me here, or walk with me here, or give me a shot to show you what I think the show would benefit from.
Yeah.
And like, okay. Next thing you know, it's this great. And honestly, what I was about to say, this is this great team. I have always wanted to be a team player, but somebody has to step up, Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like step up and be my equal.
Yeah.
Don't ask me to come down.
Right. All right. So Cass, I want to read an email to you. The email I wrote to you in June of 2016. It was the first time I reached out to you after being a listener for a while. So you
hadn't been on the show yet?
No, hadn't been on the show yet. And it's a very interesting read. So it's just like 2 paragraphs. So follow along here. So it says, "Hey, Bob and Cass, I'm a new listener and a very enthusiastic one." That's true. "I love the tone you two and Ryan Bell are setting for your podcasts. It is really where I want to go with processing my deconversion and living the life I have now. I have not found this kind of approach anywhere else, and I'm a facilitator of a former fundamentalist support group. There are a lot of angry people out there who came from black and white religion to black and white atheism. Anyways, small rant aside, I just wanted to tell you that I love what you're doing, and I would love to participate and support you guys. I have a very interesting story of struggling with doubt since the age of 13 and overcompensating by ultimately becoming a missionary in Mexico. I deconverted 10 years ago and have been spending a lot of time and effort unpacking that for myself. I would love to participate in an interview if that appeals to you, or perhaps plug in as a co-host someday. Though I'm sure you'd want to get to know me more before that. Anyways, I know this is really rambly, but I would love to hear back from you. I can tell you more of my story if you like. I'm so grateful for your podcast. Sincerely, Marie in Minnesota." Yeah. I've wanted to host this for 3 years.
I think it speaks to how life works. Things take time.
God's in charge.
Well, bullshit, but
the universe has a way. Karma. It all comes back around. Someone's in control.
I think I also want to talk about tenacity. I mean, sticking to. I mean, actually, not so much, because what if this was a not childhood, but like a version of Marie that was like aspiring to this, and then it kind of fell away, and it was just a season that you were in. But no, the fact that it's like that stuck, that desire to co-host not only this show, but just a show, and to get into this voice, mm-hmm. the voice that, like you said, Ryan Bell and Bob and I had created. Like, nobody's talking about deconversion like you guys.
Yeah.
This is the vein that I want to flow through.
Yeah.
Is there a way for me to get involved?
Yeah.
Could I be a guest, maybe even co-host someday or whatever? And obviously, the first time I read that from a listener, I'm not just going to drop what I'm doing and say, "Oh yeah, come on in and be a co-host," because things were fine the way they were.
Yeah.
There wasn't an absence. There wasn't anything lacking.
Right.
And even to the degree in which when Bob left after 4 years, and I tried or thought about having some co-hosts, even like had some on the air and stuff, and they did fine, but it just didn't feel right to me. And plus, I loved the freedom to not. See, the thing about Bob's retirement is he was literally at my beck and call.
Yeah.
But a person with a life and a career and children or whatever, it was very complicated for me to arrange the co-host to be here when we were doing interviews.
Plus the guest schedule too.
All that.
Yeah.
So the simplicity was, it's me.
Yeah.
And again, my hero's Mark Maron, and Mark is a one-on-one interviewer.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, I'm going that route.
Yeah.
I did that for 6 months. I was fine with it.
Yeah.
I did not feel like this was lacking anything.
Yeah.
And so when you approached, it was like, the initial thing was, you're going to help with logistics.
Yep.
And then then it came up to where it's like, how about co-hosting? It's like, all right, give it a try. I don't care, And the rest is history. I mean, I think that I love the tone. Because in a way, it is very different than Bob and Cass.
Yeah.
And here it is. And I love the direction of it. So.
Yeah. It's good. And eventually we're going to make it full-time jobs. And you're going to fly all over the world. This is a reference to our Q&A yesterday morning when someone asked if you had a magic wand for the show, what would you like to see happen? And Cass wants to be a consultant, everyone's agnostic community builder, and travel around the world. He would start with the Hawaiian community first.
We don't have that many listeners in Hawaii, I don't think.
Well, probably have a few, but yeah. And then California, probably you'd want to go there. Yeah. I mean, that'd be pretty fucking cool. Yeah.
Yep.
So we just need, I have a certain amount of money I need, and you have a certain amount of money that you need. So we'll just keep working to give. That's never going to happen. Never, never, never.
No.
No.
Well, don't see
But that's okay. Passion project. So after this recording, we're going to have, following this, what we're saying in this moment is going to be another recording that we made 2 nights ago that we never finished, and we're not going to finish because you know what churches do? They describe a problem that you can relate to. They build up a conversation, and then they finish the conversation.
They tell you what to think about it.
That's right. They solve it for you, and then they give you that solution on a platter and say, you're welcome. Cass and I started a discussion. We got distracted because we had to go eat pizza. And
no, that was we had to go to a photo shoot.
Oh, yeah. And then to eat pizza later. So the conversation just kind of ended on just kind of hanging there. And I think we talked about it and we decided we're just going to leave it that way. Mm-hmm. That's just where it's going to end. And we hope that the conversation stimulates you and that now you're thinking about it too, and that you can find your own solution or have more dialogues with people in your life about what we were talking about. So we don't have any solutions. And ultimately, maybe Cass and I disagree on it because like we had a conversation in the car last night where you were still using all the qualifying words and I'm like, Cass. So like ultimately we have different solutions on it too. So yeah. So that's what is following this.
And those differences are indications of many things, 2 of which is I still have some things to learn. You still have some things to learn from each other. Mm-hmm. We can learn from each other. That's one thing. Another thing simultaneously happening along with that is we don't have a damn thing to learn from each other. We're fine with sticking to our stance. Some of it is a blind spot. We probably should maybe listen to other people. Yeah. Me especially. Some of it is it's okay to disagree and still remain deeply respectful friends.
Yeah.
So the thing about that, the questions that were raised in this next conversation, honestly, we are not going to answer them or tell you what to think about that in this episode or ever, probably. However, I will say that it is too good a question that it won't come up again. Like, it's going to come up again. Yeah. We're going to continue to talk about this because I think this is huge. Yeah. I think that it's huge that what you unearthed was that we as ex-Christians are still using languages of rate and evaluation and good and evil and high and low
About humanity.
About humanity. You know, we've done this before. Today I will not should on myself. You know, this we want to get away from shouldness and shoulding ourselves.
Yeah.
I should be this,
Yeah.
as if that would make us better or further along or more mature.
Yeah.
And that's just, a lot of that is just not true, let alone debasing and debilitating.
Right.
But I also thought of another word last night driving in for some reason, and it was supposed. You're supposed to
Think
whatever.
about that word.
Right.
It infers that there is an expectation to do something. An expectation infers there's this external, there's something else that's demanding that you do that. Who is that?
Yeah.
Is that what that word triggers for you? Like, who's asking me to do this? What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Why is someone telling me? Who is that person?
Yeah. Who said I'm supposed to?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who is out there making these imposing these rules on me?
It's all of these words. It's the word supposed to. It's the word expectation. It's the should. It's the, what were we talking about yesterday? Fortunate.
Oh, yeah.
Lucky. Blessed. All of those words infer it coming down from something.
Yeah.
That nobody really knows what is coming down from. And then that plays right into those words of qualifying and evaluating humanity.
Right.
By whom?
Right. So just as Christians, we gave that whom a name. It was God.
Yeah.
Well, now we're non-Godders.
Yeah.
We don't believe in God, and yet those orders and those expectations are still coming down the pike.
Right.
And we're still honoring them.
Right. Right.
So yeah, we've killed the God, we've killed the God or whatever. We've said nope, we're not outsourcing to you anymore,
Right.
or we're not ceding over our autonomy and agency to you anymore.
Yeah.
And I think what you're saying and asking us that is genius is, are we? Or have we stopped? Or
Yeah.
are we still?
Yeah.
Are we still ceding over agency to an outsourced entity that
Is nameless.
is nameless and is still fucking with us?
Yeah.
That's the question that we want to continue to talk about, but we're not going to answer today because I think it's just throwing it out there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good one.
Tag, you're it.
So, hope you enjoyed this conversation. And if you feel uncomfortable afterwards, that's entirely normal.
It's intentional.
Take care of yourself. Eat a donut. Drink some water. Hydrate. Poop. Do what you need to do.
Go get on a plane and go visit somebody that you've wanted to for a while, because that's what
Yeah.
you did this weekend.
That's right.
Beautiful.
Yes. Agreed. Cheers.
Cheers. Have you seen Paddleton?
No. You talked to me about it a couple
Yeah.
days ago.
It was so timely. Like, we got the news about Dave, and then that came on, and we were like, okay, we're going to watch this. We only got through the first half and said, too soon.
Yeah.
And then watched the second half the next night.
Yeah.
But I loved it. We both loved it. We cried our ass off.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah. Ray Romano, Mark Duplass. They're best friends. One of them got terminal cancer and is doing the physician-assisted death. And you can do that. In fact, you have to do that yourself. Because if you're not able to administer it to yourself, then
Then you can't show
yeah.
consent to it, I
Mhm.
suppose.
Yeah, the doctor won't grant it.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. But you can have friends and family around. You do it at home, and just like Papoy.
Just like murdering Papoy. Yeah. Just like it. Except that she couldn't administer it herself. But that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, different set of rules.
Yeah. So.
You got bullet points you want to
No.
hit?
No.
I do.
What? I asked you if you wanted to figure out topics, and you were like, nah. We're just going to wing it.
Well, but you... Yeah,
I'm a hippie.
That was in jest in a way because you were continuing to do it. And
Oh,
so,
no. Those.
So Marie, you told me about like how you were having great thoughts and writing them down because you were high on the plane. But I thought what was funny, and maybe we're sharing, maybe not. This is me being dumb and self-deprecating here, but So I got the text from the airport. Like you said, we just landed. I had such a great trip. I got lots to share. I wrote down some amazing thoughts because I'm high. So you walk up, physically arrive at my house, and you say, so I was like, so you were high? When did you smoke? And you said, in the bathroom. That's all you said.
Yeah.
In the bathroom. And I was like, it's a felony to smoke tobacco on a plane, let alone pot.
You didn't say that, but yes, that's what you were thinking.
Yeah, I was like, this is a big deal. You got to be kidding me. I mean, you're much more of a risk taker than I thought. You just put your whole life on the line just so you could get high on a plane. Like, is this the Mile High Club for stoners or something?
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, I did it. Yeah.
Whatever.
And you were laughing, and it was like lighthearted. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is really a big deal. She smoked pot in the bathroom on a plane, and she's very flippant about it. Turns out you were talking about the bathroom at the airport right before you got on the plane. So that changed everything.
I'm sorry I'm not as risky as you thought.
Well, especially since it's vape and it's less, smelly.
It's not invasive at all. Yeah. People don't smell anything. Yeah. What do you want to talk about?
I don't know what. Did you see the Oscars?
No.
Are you?
I heard that white people won a lot. That was really surprising to me.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back on it. I didn't actually get to watch it. I love watching those things, though. And it's funny because we all know that, like, somebody made up this little statue and said, let's give it to people, and it became a big fucking deal.
Mm-hmm.
And, psychologically, I wonder what it appeals to.
What I think is really interesting is that literally no one comes to my office to watch me get a hats off award for the month. Like, no one comes in and, like, watches it happen. Yet these people have, like, millions of people watching them get awards for their job.
Yeah.
Why is that a thing? Is it because we're all invested in it?
The same reason that People magazine has a career. I mean, we are infatuated with celebrity.
But this brings me back to that one monologue that I did with that Steve Martin poops. Like, he poops.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know why they're any different than us.
Well, I think for me, because I do enjoy watching it, is that these are amazing feats of achievement. It's like watching the Olympics or something. I mean, not actually. When you're watching the movie, you're watching their feat of great achievement. Watching them receive reward for it is another deal. But I don't know. It's brushed with greatness. I think it's probably the same thing that motivated the creation of religion or something. That we want to be associated with something bigger than ourselves, and so we kind of have this. Maybe we think that we are hip to these people, especially if we're in the same room with a bunch of people and we can rattle off their names. It's kind of cred, social cred.
Yeah, but why do we care?
Exactly.
Like, about their ability to act. Why is that the industry that we're obsessed with? Actors and sports players.
Okay, so there is something about. I think there's something strange and magical almost about the intensity of something directly related to how many eyes are currently ogling it. We're seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
How many football games have gone on football fields and the stands are just sparse, like it's barely anybody there, and there they go playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you fill the stadium, and then of course television viewers as well, like Super Bowl, and literally same thing is going on.
Yeah.
But it's intensified because everybody's doing it, and all the humans are looking at it. And so, if I'm not looking at it, it appeals to insecurity, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not looking at it, then I'm not a part of the big deal.
Is it FOMO?
It's FOMO. It's definitely fear of missing out, and it's fear of insignificance. It's fear of death. It goes back to. I'm serious. It just was a matter of time, right? Well, what's the Hitler rule for how long you're?
Oh,
it's a G word, the Geiger rule or something like that.
Someone brought that up the other day. I can't remember what it's called.
Well, there's a rule on this podcast that how long does it take before Cass and Marie start talking about death or sex? It's just a matter of time. So, no, but I'm saying that the fear of insignificance is the desire to be associated with, just the desire to be hip. Why does a shirt with Patagonia on it, worth more than one without? It appeals to like, I'm hip. I'm on the in crowd.
So are we beyond that?
We're beyond
Like you and
everybody.
me?
We are highly evolved, self-aware people.
I'll have you know, I
we're
buy
just
my
hip
clothes
to
at
it.
Goodwill.
I'm not saying
So like,
we do this. We probably fall prey to these similar things, and just in places where we're not aware. This just happens to be something that seems obvious to us. Maybe.
yeah, we have it somewhere else. If not else, it's just the show. Like the show itself is that for us that we've decided is important.
And it gives our life meaning.
Yeah.
And we know that it doesn't, and that this show doesn't matter, nor does anything matter.
We're all going to die. Took how long?
Yeah.
Depends when the show started.
So anyway, I don't know why I wrote down Oscars, but it's funny. I don't know. Like the Kennedy Center Awards, all these places where people are being honored, I almost always cry. And it's just, I don't know. I maybe should talk to my shrink about it, but I just love to see people get recognition that maybe...
That's what it is for you?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking
Justice?
out loud.
Is it justice?
Well, here's the thing. I think, especially with the Kennedy Center thing, because these are people that are on their way out. I mean, like, these are people who we're recognizing their lifetime achievement, and because they're probably, close to not making any more records or movies. So that is like, it's just nice. I don't know. I guess it's just nice. I know hard work getting recognized feels good, even when it's vicarious, like in this case, where I'm watching someone else get recognized.
That's interesting.
I don't know.
That's not what I think of when I watch those. So I went on a flight and I smoked in the bathroom on the ground. I did one draw of a sativa, and then I went on the plane and I quickly got high, and I had a good time because I found out there's this incredible formula when you take Marie, who has an existential crisis ongoing all the time, plus her anxiety disorder, plus pot, plus a situation where her anxiety disorder tells her that she's dying. You blend all that together and like fireworks happen, and then my brain was just like like processing everything. And so one of the things that I came up with when I was flying was the phrase, what was it? Yes,
You're going to kill me.
you're going to kill me.
And you're talking to life itself.
To life, to being alive, the universe, whatever you want to call all of this.
Yeah.
I said, yes, you're going to kill me, but I'm going to watch. And like, I don't know, that made me feel incredibly brave. And I told my husband, and he was like, yeah, face death with your eyes wide open. And I'm like, it's not exactly it. It's like, I just feel like life has been trying to terrorize me this whole time by telling me I'm going to die here, or I could die there, I could die there. And now I'm just like, no, yeah, I know you could do it literally wherever you wanted to do it, however you wanted to do it. But I'm going to watch it happen. I'm not going to keep on like flinching every time you startle me with like, it could be here, it could be there. Like, no, I know it could be here. It could be there. So every time you try to startle me, I'm just going to watch. I'm just going to see. And if you end up killing me, then I'm going to watch that happen. And I'm going to bear witness to what you are, what death is. And like that takes away a lot of fear from me, because I feel like up until now, this existential crisis and this fear of death has like been very controlling. Like I'm constantly like on edge. Like when am I going to be confronted with this startling, like I could die here, I could die there. And now I'm just like, but I am going to die. It is. And it's not about like, it's not even, I don't even like your phrase as much as I like my phrase, because yours is more of a passive, I'm going to die. Whereas mine, I have a lot of anxiety and resistance against it. So I like the phrasing of, you're going to kill me. because that's how I feel about this. Like, I don't really actually want to die. That's not a great thing I'm super excited about. So, like, that more violent, non-consensual language like resounds better for me.
Yeah.
So I really liked it. Yes, you're going to kill me. Like, being able to tell whatever this is, this symbol of whatever this is, say, yeah, no, I know you're going to kill me, and I will watch you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you have to deal with. You're going to kill someone who's not going to look away. And I know you're used to people looking away, but I'm going to watch. Mm-hmm. And then we spun it even more, and we were talking about your friend Dave, who I'm hoping I can have a conversation with him about this tomorrow. I'll have to take the temperature and see. But, like, from what you told me about him, I thought about this thought that I had in the plane, and I was like, for Dave, it sounds like for him the phrase is, yes, you're going to kill me, and I'm going to let everyone watch.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he's just like living it out loud, and he's letting people watch it. He's just being completely vulnerable and raw about it and honest about it. And I think that's a gift to the not actively aware of being dead people or dying people. Mm-hmm. Like a gift to see someone dying out loud.
Yeah.
You know? And so I really admire him, and like that's how I would want to like approach my death. Like, because I'll just say great things about myself now, because like I feel like anything that I come into contact with that terrifies me usually is something that terrifies a lot of people, and then I have a way of digging in and engaging with it and wrestling with it and really getting to know it and kind of coming out with things that I don't think most people come out with. And I'm just like excited. Am I about to say this? I'm excited for the opportunity to confront death because I'm going to watch. Like I'm going to be there. I'm going to be present with it, and I'm going to do what I always do. I'm going to learn from it, and I'm going to learn more about life and why we're here. There is no why. That's a ridiculous phrase. But and share it with everyone else, because I think that would be a really good gift if you're dying.
When you said I'm going to bear witness, that I was thinking it right before you said it. I'm going to watch life kill me.
Yeah.
Well, guess what else you're going to witness? You're going to witness yourself. Your eyes are already open, and so you're going to. And that whole thing about Dave is you're going to invite others to watch. It's just. So it's almost like if you went from like looking at the world through a little peephole or a little pinhole versus wide angle lens. It just kind of come out of hiding. I don't know. I always think of the head in the sand stuff and denial and fear or whatever, but just plugging your ears and going la 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 la. It's taking your fingers out of your ears and saying, all right, let's do this.
Well, sometimes I feel like, I don't know if this is true, but like that my anxiety disorder is almost a gift, but that's not true, because in a vacuum, it's not. It's me plus my anxiety disorder creates something really good, because then I have to deal with like a lot of horrible thoughts, and that most people aren't going to have to deal with until much later, maybe. And so I get to do a lot of rehearsal for death, and which is not fun, but I don't know. I really like me like figuring it out, and some of the notes that I wrote, I'm just gonna go ahead and read them. I was really high. Just keep that in mind. So this is a dialogue where the world says something to me, and then I respond. The world says, I'm going to kill you. This terrifying thing could happen right now. I will kill you. Me. Yeah, I know. You will kill me. But I'm here now. I don't deny that you will kill me, and without any notice or answers. Still, I am here. I am engaged, and I will not submit to your paralyzing fear tactics. Go ahead and kill me. Yes, you will kill me,
but I will watch you do it. Yes, you will kill me, but I will enjoy and notice everything on the way to the gallows.
That's a good one.
Yes, you will kill me, but I will let others watch. Yes, you will kill me, world, but I'm not afraid of you. I will still beat the shit out of you.
I know it's goes without saying, but like, as long as you're having that conversation, you're winning. Because the day and the moment that you're not, that you are in fact dead, you don't know it, and death doesn't have any more power over you, or like it's almost like, you know, a dog chasing a car. He doesn't know what to do with it once he catches it. It's like death is fucking with you. Life is out to kill you, and it's scaring you, and you're responding thusly. And yet, whenever it like, gotcha, then it's boredom.
Yeah.
For both of you.
Yeah. It almost intrigues me because as I was thinking about this yesterday, Jesus Christ, yeah, just yesterday, I was like, this kind of like draws me to like want to watch horror films and just sit there and be present and just like, yes, anything could happen to this person. Yes, they could be murdered. Yes, they're going to have their arm chopped off. Like, yeah. And just like accept what might happen. I don't know how far you can extend that where it just becomes complacency and like fatalism. But I don't know. I was thinking about that.
No, I'm totally into that. In fact, the first time that I was like presented with like the depth of some horror movies. I mean, for example, like Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I mean, that's considered like one of the greatest books ever written. I mean, this is not, because I always just thought of it as shallow or simple.
Frankenstein?
No, the horror genre.
Okay.
Yeah, and Frankenstein for that
They
matter.
appeal to a base thing, which is fear.
Yeah, and that somebody must have abused you in order for you to be able to enjoy horror. Something's wrong with you, because that's some really unpleasant stuff, and yet somehow you find it entertaining. That's twisted. Those kind of things. And yet, you know, I think there's some depth. I think there's something going on, and now I would even go so far as to say I think somebody is pretty damn evolved if they can enjoy horror. So I mean, I've gone full circle on that.
Yeah. And I don't know if the word is. See, I'm not that person yet, but I don't know if the word is enjoy, or if it's so much like that they want to taste fear. You know, like the,
well, when we had Eric on, I picked his brain about it. Like, what is it that you get off on? And he's like, I don't know. I mean, I actually don't remember what he.
I think he just liked the aesthetic of it. I was curious too if he just likes the darker, like being exposed to the dark, evil, bad things of life. But it didn't seem like that was what it was for him. But more like. He just liked statues of devils and like black stuff and like.
Well.
He just thinks it's pretty.
Yeah. The satanic stuff, yes.
Yeah.
But sitting in a theater watching a horror flick, that's a little different. I mean.
Yeah, I don't know.
So this is a professor of social and organizational psychology at the University of Utrecht. I don't even know what country that is. Dr. Jeffrey Goldstein, quote, people go to horror movies because they want to be frightened or they wouldn't do it twice. You choose your entertainment because you want it to affect you. That's certainly true of people who go to entertainment products like horror films that have big effects. They want those effects. Horror films must provide a just resolution in the end. The bad guy gets it. Even though they choose to watch these things, the images are still disturbing for many people, but people have the ability to pay attention as much or as little as they care to in order to control what effect it has on them, emotionally or otherwise. That's not really profound.
No, it's true. It's intuitive.
Negative feelings created by horror movies actually intensify the positive feelings when the hero triumphs in the end. But what about movies where the hero doesn't triumph? Even in some small studies have shown, it's not a real sentence, that people's enjoyment was actually higher during the scary parts of the film than it was after. I'm fascinated with this, though.
Yeah, I'm curious about the psychology of our species if we actively choose to expose ourselves to something that is ingrained in us to avoid.
Well, there's something to just the fact that you're conscious. So if you're conscious, like, that's life happening. When you're unconscious, it's not. And I don't mean to be... There's something very binary, though, about if you're going to be on, ones and zeros. I mean, if you're going to be on, then don't shrink back from it or something. I don't know. I mean, I know that sounds like carpe diem, but there's just something about not wishing that you were unconscious. Because if you're really wanting to get away from this, that's the only way.
Yeah.
So you go from being afraid of being alive to I want to die, and then you're like afraid of death, and so it throws you back in the ring.
Yeah, it's a vicious cycle. For sure. Because I could tell you I've spent countless hours and days and months just ruminating on I don't want to die. When is it going to happen? It could happen anytime. Like being fixated on that which will happen. Wasting time on the thing that makes it worth it, or the thing that is good, or the thing that can be enjoyable, and wasting time worrying about this thing that is guaranteed to happen that I have no control over. So it's vicious in that way too. Like the more you think about it, the more time you waste doing that. And that's like that. Honestly, that's why I don't like personally don't latch onto the phrase carpe diem.
Me too. I know where you're going with this.
Yeah.
And this is the pitfall of it. It's a moderate thing like everything else.
Yeah.
But this is the pitfall of it, because then it's just pressure to do. And
it's about the personality type, right? Like it works for Dave, because I don't know that he has an anxious bone in his body. I don't know him that well. But like he takes that and he goes with it. Me, I'd be like, okay, I have to carpe all of the DMs and
that and he doesn't do that.
Yeah.
That's where I ran. I did that because like right around the peak of when I was a youth pastor and like almost motivational speaker type, go, and I applied a lot of that to myself, and it's a gerbil wheel of exhaustion. Because you never give yourself a break for a mediocre moment.
Yeah.
Or celebrate like the banality of today was boring.
Well, isn't it? It's essentially perfectionism applied to carpe diem.
Yeah.
Because I'm already thinking like there's several manifestations of it. There's the manifestation where you're frazzled, and you're running around trying to do all this shit, and you're not really carpe diem at all. And that's one form of perfectionism where it's just this hyperactiveness. And then there's the other form of perfectionism that people don't recognize is easily where you don't do anything because you're so overwhelmed by the task at hand that you know that nothing is ever going to be good enough, so you don't do it. And that's the kind of manifestation of carpe diem that I have, that if I fixate on that, I'm going to be so overwhelmed by all of the eat, pray, loves that I'm supposed to go on, all the people I'm supposed to meet, all the things that I need to understand about the world, that I'm going to be overwhelmed, and I just don't. I'm like, I'll just watch Bob's Burgers, I guess. But it's not like, yay, Bob's Burgers. Some people are like, yeah, I'm happy watching Bob's Burgers for the rest of my life and just doing my thing. I'm not. Like, I do want to do the things associated with carpe diem, but like in a like a moderate way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you can easily shame. I mean, I used to pose this question to guests as like, tell me a guilty vice or a guilty pleasure, not a vice. Oh yeah, guilty pleasure that you're ashamed of, and but yet you love it. But if you were to say it out loud, people would judge you for it.
Which it is. What are we saying?
Well, just like if somebody says, I like The Bachelor. Or whatever, and they're like,
in general,
they have to keep it secret because of how embarrassing it is to admit that you like that show or that you waste time doing it.
Yeah.
Because a real carpe diem person would go, really? That's how you're maximizing your day? Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, it is. I mean, I'm not defending that.
Yeah.
But if I wanted to, I could.
Yeah.
Because fuck you, it's my life.
Yeah.
And honestly, the value of rest and the value of me time is minimized in some of those
And
contexts.
just checking out. I mean, I'm hearing a little bit about American culture too.
Yeah.
Right now, that we push ourselves really hard to be productive all the time.
Yeah.
And not all the other countries do that.
No. Siesta.
Siestas are good.
Afternoon
Those are
nap for
good.
adults.
Yeah, I know.
Tea
need
time.
that. I know. Oh, now I'm missing Mexico. All the shops would close down at 1 to 4 or something. But then
Seriously.
they'd be open late too. But
Yeah.
I mean, we push ourselves too hard.
When we were in Barcelona last summer, the culture sleeps in and stays up late. I mean, they're my people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I felt very at home amongst the Spanish.
Yeah.
And so a weekday at 7:30 in the morning, I'm up, walking around, nobody.
At 7:30, huh?
Yeah, nobody. It's dead.
Huh.
It would be like midnight in America,
Yeah.
and yet at midnight, the parties are just getting started.
Interesting.
Dinner time is 9 p.m.
See, that's so curious because like these are the things I just don't even really think about. Like the differences in like little things like that, like the entire schedule of a nation.
Mm-hmm.
Like our schedule of a nation is typically 8 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Your parties are 10 to 1, 2 in the morning or something. And I didn't even think that like, a whole nation could have like a whole different schedule like than us. Of course they could.
And in view of like this weekend is daylight savings, and every time, whether it's spring forward or fall back, and the older I get, the more this is true, it fucks me up. I get off kilter. So I do think there's something about circadian rhythms of like not only just a human being, but a bunch of human beings. I mean, like, what is it that when a sorority house, all the women eventually their periods cycle up and sync up or something? I mean, like there's something about us being with others so that everybody in Barcelona, for the most part, have their clock moved back as compared to America or whatever.
Could be.
But I'm saying that I'm combining it with daylight savings because these things matter somehow to my body. Mm-hmm. Because it could be, last time it was almost up to 2 days later, I was still like groggy and unfocused and just not myself.
Yeah.
And over the years, I've just kind of figured out, because you're like, what's going on? Why am I feeling this way? I got 8 hours sleep last night or something, and I think it throws us off. I don't know.
Well, I think the sun not being where we're used to it being at the times we're used to it being there is.
And yet we don't notice the sun. I mean, we don't pay attention to the sun.
I do. But I'm
How
a
weird is
photographer.
that?
I'm a photographer. You notice what the shadows are, where the sun is. Yeah.
Not me.
Well, okay.
But my body does. I think my, and I don't mean to get woo woo, but I'm connected to things.
You are your body. Did we ever talk about like how I brought up with Keith? He kept on using the word I when we were high, and I was like, "Who is I?" Did I bring that up in an episode before?
I don't think you brought it up in an episode, but I remember you mentioning it or something. But it's a, and well, I think we did. Brush that subject.
Yeah, because I was like, there is no I. There is no I, because your brain and your everything and your jaws and your muscles are working together to say the word I, and you put I out there, and what do you mean by I? Because all of this said I. When you say I, do you mean, like, how do you identify that? He's like, me. I'm like, no. Basically, like, I think that even if we're atheist or whatever, with our language, we are still dualists. I don't know. Maybe I'm being pedantic. I like doing that. But I played with the idea of calling myself we, not to trivialize like those who are using pronouns in other ways, but just kind of as a philosophical exercise of we, that I am we. And it actually makes me feel stronger because we is my whole body. And when I say we, I don't just feel like we is my feelings, I am my feelings, I am my strength, I am my history. When I say we, I think about my entire body as a unit working together to get myself through this life. And it makes me feel more unified,
Yeah, you remind me of Gollum.
Gollum.
Yeah, remember how he says...
Well, he had a dissociative disorder.
Yeah.
I don't have that.
Smeagol.
Yeah, Schmeagol, yeah.
He would talk in plural pronouns about
He
himself.
would, because he had a dissociative personality disorder.
I think we all do.
No, we don't. No, we're raised to have one, but we don't.
Well, I guess where I was going with that is that you wanted to say we.
Yeah.
And or us, because it's not that I'm referring to you're dissociated, but you're a part of a bigger thing. And so you could say we, but I don't know.
I don't know. No, and I have another topic too.
Go for it.
Using the human experience to manipulate feelings. And it stemmed from the use of music by Christianity to manipulate how we feel in moments. And it kind of just did a little tailspin the other day when my boyfriend was telling me about when he proposed to his wife. And since I'm not a normal person, I couldn't just listen to the story and be like, oh, that's so cute. I analyzed it. And he told me that he brought her to the top of this hill in St. Paul that has a really nice lookout over something that's really pretty. I don't know what. And that he proposed to her up there. And I was thinking about it, and I'm like, that's so manipulative.
As opposed to romantic.
Yeah. Yeah. Because what would have been romantic is if, or not necessarily, but what if you had proposed in a bathroom? Mm-hmm. I don't know,
your yes or no would be less influenced by.
Yeah, he's appropriating the awe that she will assuredly feel by looking at this landscape, and he's putting her in a position to create an awe in her and a euphoria, and then he's manipulating that by stacking on top of that a proposal ring, and so then with all of this energy built up in her, how could she say no? She's got this beautiful view mixed, and then maybe she doesn't realize that she's overwhelmed by the view when the ring comes out, and she's going to mistake her euphoria of the view with the ring, and then think that all these good feelings that she has about him giving her the ring are about that and not about the landscape, which obviously that was just an exercise in my mind because I'm an asshole. But to spread that out bigger, it is true. In Christianity and in a lot of other places, I'm sure we are constantly doing that. We do it. We do it on our show.
How so?
Carrie Becken, her episode, she was just sharing her story with us and whatever, and then we added music behind it. Yeah. We do it all the time. We record, and I as we're recording and we're talking, I'm like, oh, this is a nice conversation. I feel good, and I leave afterwards. I'm like, yeah, that feels really good. And then you edit it, and I listen to it again. I'm like, oh, then it's just intense because there's music, and the cuts are different, and so. And I noticed it too. This is something I've just been thinking about a lot the last couple of months. That I noticed it with the film Papoy that you helped us on. That Keith and I spent all this time writing out the script, no tears, I'm fine. And then we spent all this time finding all the multimedia resources that we were going to put in, videos and pictures, a few tears because that's sad. And then we spent all this time importing the images, importing all the videos, and creating a timeline in Final Cut. We play it. We insert your narration on top of it. You talk about Papoy dying. We watch it. I've got nothing. Nothing.
No tears.
Nothing. And then I go and download some music that's appropriate for the different transitions. We play it. Blah! I'm dead. I'm dying. Yeah. I'm like, what happened? Yeah. And then I'm like, I'm manipulating myself. But then at the same time, I'm like, well, what I did is I created a door into my grief, because it's not accessible really accessible by what, looking at pictures or whatever. But then I watched this film with the music and the pictures and the narration all together, and I can manipulate myself into feeling that grief. Yeah. And I'm not trying to make an argument that it's always bad to use that stuff to produce feelings, but boy, it'd be really great if we knew that was happening to us and could like make mindful choices about what to do. Like instead of, especially because I think in this culture we put a lot of trust in our feelings. Like actually in Christianity too, like if you feel like something is right and that God is telling you to do it, then that means it's right.
In some denoms.
Some
condemn that. The exact opposite, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true. Okay. So,
Don't trust your feelings is a Christian theme as well.
right.
In certain denominations like Church of Christ.
Right.
Well, here's where I think I'm hearing. For one
Yeah.
thing, if we walk away from something, an emotional experience, and we come away whether we're crying or we've just laughed our asses off or whatever, if we feel we've been played,
Yeah.
if there's an element where I feel violated or
Yeah.
I feel manipulated,
Yeah.
then it's externally imposed upon us.
Yeah.
Whereas what we were saying earlier about horror movies, it's human entertainment
Yeah.
to stimulate our senses.
Yeah.
Like the better the food is, the better the experience is.
Yeah.
The better the song is. We want good. We want to experience.
yeah.
And that's almost life in itself. It's like otherwise, it's just a flat line. So
Yeah.
these are the hills and dales of experiential stimuli.
Right.
But that's us taking ourselves into something where we want to be stimulated.
Right. There's a consent, right?
Well,
I
it's
know
more than
that's
a
my
consent.
favorite word.
It's you're not only the initiator, you're the recipient. So there's no one else involved really when
yeah.
it comes to third party or even second party.
Right. By exercising your agency to go see that movie, you are
Yeah.
consenting actively that you want to see this movie.
Right. And if
Yeah.
I go to that ledge, that lookout point, and I see the night skies and the city skyline or whatever, and I get chills, nothing wrong with that,
No.
right? I mean, like, knock yourself out. Rub one out while you're there. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But it's that I have something that I want from you, in this case, your marriage or your life or whatever. And it's almost bait and switch as far as, I like this word for Christianity, co-opting everything. So they co-opt music to tell you that what you're feeling right now is the Holy Spirit. Where the truth is you're feeling music. Just natural scientific music, what it does to the human ears and how that translates to the brain is something sad or happy or
Yeah.
emotional.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
But to say this is the Holy Spirit, so they're co-opting it to have their agenda. Well, what's the difference between a guy who's co-opting the skyline to get his wife to be more likely to say yes?
Right.
So, but here, let's go to the other spectrum. How dry does it have to be before it's 100% authentic or something? Like that your yes or your no is that you can trust your answer and he can trust your answer because we were standing naked in a meat locker.
There was no music. Everything was soundproof.
It's cold, I guess my point is
Yeah.
it's cold and you must really love me if you said yes in the meat locker.
Because you could spiral it out of control and
Exactly.
call everything manipulating. Like if you smile at someone, you manipulate them because if you smile, you know that you're going to cause certain receptors in their brain to fire and they're going to be more receptive. It's a classic sales book, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like there's lots of tips and tricks.
Use their name.
Yeah, compliment them. Yeah.
You're more likely to close the deal.
Yep. Yeah, it's basic sales. But yeah, this whole conversation came up exactly because of music. And that conversation, I've known for a long time that I've had a problem with music because of Christianity and how they abused it to manipulate me. And then anytime I would listen to music and feel emotional, it tasted like Jesus. And I wanted to throw up.
Okay, so now I know when I sent you that edited piece from Carrie doing her pull quote, and I'd put it to Coldplay of all things. I mean, like it's a very Christian sounding,
Yeah.
emotional band, and Carrie responded right back, and she said, "I loved it. I cried." So me being the manipulator in this case, touche, I win, score, got her to cry.
Yeah.
And then you didn't respond for over 24 hours. And I was like, and it was actually in another email over another subject. We were talking about something. And I said, by the way, you didn't say anything about which song you liked on my manipulative track.
Yeah.
And you're like, whatever Carrie liked. I mean, like you just said, yeah, the first one's fine.
Yeah.
Because I know you well enough and I relate to you well enough to know that, okay, I figured it was something like that. As far as like, this is
In this instance, it wasn't. I can see why you thought it was,
Well,
though.
it's not evil, and I'm not manipulating or embarging on somebody's non-consent.
No, I'm
None of
talking
that's
about myself personally.
Okay.
I'm not in that place right now, but I have been. But yeah, you wouldn't be wrong like a few months ago.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I think I was just super busy.
You evolved that fast.
I evolved that fast. I do. I do. It's disorienting.
Especially for those in your life.
Yeah, but you know what? I picked the solid ones, the ones that
Can
you
keep
know,
up?
like seriously, like Keith, like he was what I needed before I even knew I needed him. Like, and that's why every year that we're together, I appreciate him more and more, because all he's ever been is someone who knew how strong I was and who just stood back and just let me at it. Like, and he has no investment in seeing where I go and who I become and how I become strong and where, you know, any of that stuff. He doesn't care. Like, he's just witnessing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the same for him. I just want to witness you grow into whatever you're going to be. I don't have any investment in that. And we even extend that as far as, like, if you grow into such a person that it doesn't make sense for us to be nested together anymore, that's cool. Like, I have no problem with, you know, not having this relationship anymore if it doesn't make sense anymore. And
Yeah.
so
I feel like that ideally our allegiance is pledged not only to the truth but to ourselves and to just what's showing up.
Yeah.
And so if it's showing up that your journeys are going in a way that's not necessarily hostile or personal, but yet it's just not going to be, doesn't make any sense for us to be nesting partners. Obviously, there's going to be some emotions or pain around it.
Oh, yeah.
But not to the point where it's like, we have to make this happen because fuck the truth and fuck what's really happening.
Yeah.
The pain is too bad. I can't bear it, so let's stay together.
Yeah.
Something like that. That's cowardly.
Isn't it, like, literally everything is this, but isn't it saying yes to the evolution of a relationship? It's like, yeah, this relationship has been fantastic and it doesn't make sense to have anymore. I love you.
Well, here's where it gets complicated, because sometimes it's one-sided. Sometimes the person is saying, this is not working for me, and the other is like, please don't leave. That's more common than not.
I would have a problem with someone telling me not to leave. Like, even that phrase is like, ooh.
Slavery. It's possession.
Why would you ask me to do that?
Lock you in the basement.
Yeah. Like, that's like a really selfish thing. Like, I'm telling you I don't want to be here anymore, and you're telling me to stay because you feel bad. That's like, if I say it's because I owned your feelings and now I work for you. I don't know, it's very stoic, but that's my philosophy around it.
Oh yeah, I was trying to think where that happens with Jesus and God.
Where you consciously accept a lie
Yeah.
because
Of the pain of it.
exploring the truth or letting go of the lie is too painful to consider.
Yeah, that's just like he was asking you to stay. Maybe it's the concept of heaven and hell is asking me to stay, or vice versa. I'm asking it to stay in my heart and mind because I need it to stay. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying how the brain's trained. Is it more likely for us ex-Christians to manipulate other people because of fear of what we don't want to be true, or fear of pain or something? Just fear.
Yeah. I'm having a hard time thinking of how that extends over to that, but that's an interesting mental exercise to try to think about.
It's just a way that Christianity mapped our brain where we might be more prone than people that never were Christians.
Yeah.
What was where we were at last night? Well, even like the notion that I'm free to cuss now. You know, something that maybe an ex-Christian would kind of celebrate, or at least spread their wings and woohoo.
Yeah.
And a lifelong non-Christian or whatever, like, it's like saying, I get to drink water out of the tap, or, you know, something really not worth woohooing about.
Yeah.
And we get excited about stuff that people are like, my whole life. I mean, your latest boyfriend is a guy who was a lifelong atheist, and you're finding his brain to be mapped very differently than yours.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you're both the same age, Americans, raised in that region,
White. Yeah.
white, you have a lot in common, and yet just by not being told, because as a child, the brain is a blank slate.
Yeah.
And things,
Well, yes and no.
well, it's impressionable.
Yeah.
Some of it sticks, Stuff gets put in there that long after we maybe consciously or cerebrally have moved on, our bodies or memories or something is still not letting us fully. I know that's true. We had a person on the show stop listening to the show because they felt like you were boasting about your sin, like you're parading your promiscuity and your adultery or whatever. I mean, this is an ex-Christian, already moved on from God and stuff, but look at those remnants that just can't understand that you have 2 boyfriends and a husband and everybody's good to go and mature enough to not, pull each other's eyes out with jealousy.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to blame her because I was not that much different maybe 4 years ago from where she was in terms of judgment.
Yeah.
I couldn't wrap my head around it either. I thought it was gross and slutty and deviant and
Shallow.
yeah. Yeah, but I've discovered it's not. Well, it's some of those things, but not bad.
Yeah. Well, we recommend the book, The Ethical Slut.
And now we're coming into the sex topic. We talked about death.
It's just a matter
Now
of
it's
time.
sex, yep. All right. Took maybe half an hour, 45 minutes to get there.
So we understand her anger and her upsetness because you were in fact boasting in a way because that's hard-earned stuff. I mean, just expressing how great is this?
Yeah, the thing I was boasting about wasn't, look how married he is. He's so married. I love doing married guys. Yeah,
Wasn't the word homewrecker thrown in there, or what?
No.
That wasn't used now because you're not wrecking anybody.
I think so. No. In fact,
Save their marriage.
I might have saved their marriage. Yeah, because of me. And but no, since I'm a photographer, me and my boyfriend, we go out and we hang out with this kiddo, and I bring my camera with because I get bored and kids are boring, and I like taking pictures and people like my pictures, and so I took pictures of him playing at the Children's Museum and splashing water and doing all sorts of shit, and pictures of him and his dad playing together and stuff, and then I next day I edit them all, upload them onto Google Drive, send the link over to my boyfriend and his wife, and then they go through it and they're like, oh my god, I love it. And then 2 days ago they went and printed out a bunch of the images that I took and updated a bunch of their frames, which were at least a year out of date or something. And so now their house is littered in pictures that the man of the house's girlfriend took of the family, and they love them. And they celebrate them, and and I'm looking forward to taking more for many years.
Yeah, I think for me, and I know I don't want to rehash all this or educate ourselves all over again on poly per se, but I think for me the difference between his mistress took these pictures is that it was without consent or permission. It was behind a back. It was cheating and lying. It was dishonest. All that unethical behavior.
Yeah.
Whereas ethical non-monogamy is the main difference for me is that it's nothing happens that wasn't pre-discussed.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Literally, yeah.
In this sense, it's different than open.
Yeah. It depends. Everyone gets to define what.
All right.
those
Well,
things
here's
look
what
like.
I think.
Okay.
Open says I'm in an open relationship. Example, I'm out somewhere, and some sparks fly. Next thing you know, we've ducked into the bathroom or fucking. Never got permission from my wife.
Explicitly, yeah.
Explicitly.
Right.
Okay, so maybe that's the difference. Is that do we have open would say we're open. You have permission to do whatever you want.
But I'm sure there's a I'm sure there's at least one conversation about safe
parameters
sex.
and safety.
Yeah.
And things. But now, I guess what I'm saying is that my sense is with poly is that I met a person today. I'm coming back to talk to you about that my desire to explore this. Whereas
Sometimes I don't even do that.
So there's some permissions already out on.
Like I said, everyone's poly's different. Like everyone gets to decide how they want to do it. Sometimes you do need to have discussions about things. Sometimes you don't. Like you work with the people you're with. You don't make up rules like only fuck one person or love one person at a time and then apply it to everyone. It's easy. That's an easy rule to make. It's not super exciting, but whatever. If you want to do that, that's fine. But in poly, you don't have rules. It doesn't mean there are no rules. It means this is a blank canvas that you get to make with the people in your life. Mm-hmm. And you get to know those people, what their limitations are. You always keep ethics in mind. You keep their autonomy in mind, their safety in mind. They don't control your body, but conversations are mandated about safety and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And you get to decide between yourselves what works best for you guys. Mm-hmm. And then you move forward. You don't go into something with predetermined rules that someone else made for you and then go forward. Mm-hmm. You come in and decide, hey, what works for us? Yeah. You find where it overlaps and then you move forward. Yeah. That's the difference with poly.
So what this brings up for me is an instance, for example, where you or somebody does something that another person was hurt by. So they took it personal or something along, yeah. And the thing about this phrase, take it personal, that's not a blanket statement that you can never take something personal. Sometimes things were done to you, i.e. rape. Mm-hmm. You didn't rape just anybody. You raped me. That was personal, and you should take that personal. You should be offended. You should, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like there are some things that are personal, and it's right to take them personal. Right. Otherwise, who the fuck are you? Like, right. You don't have agency. So it's a boundary thing almost to say, yeah, I'm taking that personal because it was personal.
Right.
Whereas if somebody just says, you hurt me by coming home, having made out with another person without my permission. Now the conversation then becomes, did I hurt you or were you hurt by what I did?
I wouldn't even, see, I don't mean to be a no-sayer, but like that wouldn't be my conversation. You'd say, yeah, sorry, okay, but I'm going to go ahead. I would say yes.
Just because somebody's hurt and they're saying you did it, there would need to be a discussion.
The language needs to change because really what it is the solution. You need to fixate on the solution. Something happened. There was some miscommunication, right? That mm-hmm. someone thought that they could do this thing, that there was going to be no feelings around this. Turns out there were. So you need to renege, come back together. What happened?
What's renege?
Renegotiate.
Okay.
Figure out what happened. Where was the miscommunication? Because it's just a waste of energy to actively be angry and to work out that anger onto someone.
You know what I don't like about that? Like when or just any time that somebody does, I mean, anger is okay, but what happens that I find difficult is how quickly somebody went to presume that I or they or whoever was evil. Or like, not only... Okay, so you did something that hurt me, but it's
active hostility.
Yeah, and it's not just that, and then it goes from something like, it was an accident, it hurt me.
Yeah.
To what you did was bad.
Yeah.
To you are bad.
Yeah. Because I'm more curious about what just happened. Like, you did this thing and I'm hurt. Where did we get like? Maybe when we talk about it, I'll find out, oh, yeah, you literally did something evil, and now this is evil. But why would I think that right away? Like, I need to understand what happened to get you from here to here. Did we miss something there? Mm-hmm. Before I can make a judgment on whether I want to release my anger or not on you. Is it just or not? And then figure it out from there.
And introspect, too, as far as why am I feeling this way? Is this a the feelings and response of a mature person, or is this touched something immature in me that might need to?
I just hate those words.
Okay.
I hate them because they're so like qualifying, like Because if someone relates to what you're saying in terms of when you qualify something as immature, it's a very shaming feeling.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know. I just don't like those words. You're probably not wrong in what you're saying. I just don't like it. Like,
No, I hear you. I think that's a valid point.
Yeah.
I'm referring back to a couple of years ago when I had you on this show before you were a co-host years ago.
Yeah.
When
The first one?
Well, no, the second one, the sex
180.
And we were talking about, you know, the effects of your husband going out on a date.
Yeah.
You're sitting home alone the first time or whatever, and how I guess this might have been me and, you know, projecting the lexicon that I use onto it, but it was clearly a case where you embraced the pain of that because you knew it was a place that you needed to stretch, you needed to grow, you needed to grow up, you needed to mature. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So like, I know that's how quick it goes.
I didn't need to grow up. I didn't need to mature.
Well, not need to, but it exposed a place where if you continued to be jealous every time, then you were going to stall, and you would not be a very good poly person if you jealous every time. Come on now.
Oh, that's so loaded. That's also loaded.
I know there's judgments in there. That's
Because so where do I start? So for one, I will never stop being jealous. Very likely I will never stop being jealous.
just like fear is in the lizard brain, so is
it's
jealous.
just always there.
Yeah.
I've just gotten used to it. And like the more reactive parts of me are a little bit more chill now. So I don't feel bad for feeling jealous. It's a well-known philosophy.
No shame in that.
Poly.
No shame in feeling it.
Yeah.
But now you handle it better, right? Judgment.
Better than who?
Better than your old self or your former self.
Yeah, I have more skills. Yeah, I'm able to handle it in a way that's more effective.
We just said a second ago how fast you evolve, even sometimes in relation to your peers or whatever. Like you evolve fast. So this is a place where you evolve. So I'm referring to an older version of yourself.
Sure.
Growth.
Yeah.
Maturity.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that earlier when I was saying like Cast 2.0 and Cast 3.0, those were probably difficult.
It's still me. I don't.
Wow. Hey, I have to call time out.
Okay.
We have a meeting in 10 minutes with Blake.
Well, that's if he got out of work, and he hasn't messaged me about getting out of
me.
work. He has?
He said, I'll definitely be downtown by 4:45.
Well, I guess you should cut that then, because...
Call me when you're leaving, and I'll tell you where to meet me.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Well, then I guess we're done. So, let's write up. What did we leave off on? Oh, I was getting flustered at you using qualitative words.
Yeah, let's talk about it. That's fascinating.
It
Honestly,
is.
that's
I know.
a
I think you're
fascinating
hitting
subject.
like a thing in me that's very sensitive, and I don't know why, and I don't know...
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, I think this. I'm excited about this because not because of you, but of me.
Show me how wrong I am.
No, I'm just like.
No, I'm kidding.
I think this is a good.
I'm very curious.
So that's my talk with Marie on the weekend that she was here visiting. And like her, it was a life-changing event for me as well. There really is something amazing going on with the dynamic of Marie joining the show. Maybe you've noticed. Also, maybe you've noticed that we all have to live with ourselves. Well, no one's making us, of course. We can exit anytime we want. But I mean it this way. We either figure out how to get along with ourselves or remain miserably and unavoidably attached to someone we don't like. Maybe you've had a potluck college roommate or someone at work who really annoys you. We don't get to custom order human beings as our friends. We have to work with those we find in our lives. Fortunately, we have the power to choose our friends and how much personal time and attention we give to each person in our lives. We set the parameters of our relationships. That's powerful. That's having boundaries and agency. I choose to spend this much time with this person and this much time with that person. But we don't get to do that with ourselves. We didn't custom order ourselves. I'm not really in charge of how I'm showing up, am I? I certainly want to have self-control, but what does that really mean? On the fly, in real time, who chooses what I say and do, how I respond to people? Out of all the options of what I could do or say in some exchange with a person, who chooses the thing I end up saying or doing? Doesn't my DNA have a role in how I show up? How about my context, my upbringing, my circumstances, parents, siblings, relationships, the trauma that I've experienced, the memories, the shaping memories, the formative years, mistakes made along the way, successes made along the way, the discovery of my skills, talents, interests, all this in the pursuit of who am I? But really, I still don't know. Who am I? Maybe I'm a little bit in charge of how I show up, but for the most part, the thoughts that come to my mind, the intuitions, the perceptions, judgments, assessments of the circumstances in which I find myself and how I thus react, is largely driven by the dispositions I was both born with and have formed in my 53 years as a practicing human. Everyone experiences some degree or level of trauma in their lives. All of us have hurt people and been hurt by people throughout our lives. So there's that big picture view of my life, and then there's also an evening where I show up at an engagement. What am I bringing to that engagement? What am I feeling? What's my mood? What do I know about the people in the room? And what energies do I have around them? Am I scared? Am I nervous? Am I angry? Am I jealous? What are my feelings about each one of them? I don't know what's going to happen. Something could be said or done that provokes a response from me, something that unleashes some pent-up emotions. And who chooses that response on the fly, in real time? Next thing you know, I've said or done something that I regret. Well, let's think about that for a second. I've said or done something that I regret. Well, who said it? And who regrets it? Who's the I in either case? I'm sorry, but that reminds me of Paul's duplicitous struggles in Romans 7, right? Quote, I do not understand what I do, for what I want to do, I do not do, but what I hate, I do, etc., etc. Ugh. If there's a theme to my life, it's that I'm an amazing human being and I'm an asshole. I'm both. I'm loved or hated, but never ignored. Sometimes I'm loved and hated by the people in my life, the people that love me most. I say all this to say that the journey outside of Christianity is, for those of us who really, really, really believed that we were custom made by God, and that once we invited Him into our hearts, we were being shaped by Him, discipled, mentored, tutored, guided, instructed, and developed by God Himself, coached even, and His Word was a guide unto our path, a flashlight actually. And by subjecting ourselves to daily reading the Bible, we were to be changed and bettered and improved. And I don't know, there just was a method to it, a means to an end. And the end was to be like Him. Without that, and this is the concern of a lot of Christians, what is the impetus to better oneself? And the answer for me, I'm tired of hurting people. I mean, aren't we all? Here's something. What do we want said about us behind our backs? What experience are we committed to cause? How do we want to be seen? When people find out that we're going to be at this or that event, what arises in their hearts and minds? What do I want to arise? And why do I want that to arise? And how do I get to be that kind of person? I was listening to an episode of Mark Maron's WTF podcast recently, and the guest was Jon Bernthal. Now, Jon Bernthal played the Punisher on Netflix, and he was in the Wolf on Wall Street movie, The Walking Dead, and they were talking about people Bernthal had worked with, and listen to how they talk about the writer and actor Tracy Letts.
I just did this movie with Matt Damon and
he's the best.
Christian Bale. Yeah, man.
Oh my God.
You know, and I've always been such an enormous fan of Matt's.
Yeah.
But God, and like a lot of my stuff, it was with him and Tracy Letts, who, oh, by the way, on the show
I
was
love
the
Letts.
best. He's the
I
best,
love him.
coolest motherfucker on earth.
Yeah.
Man. But you know,
Now, hearing Mark Maron say, "I love Let's" twice is a big deal. Maron is a tough judge of character. And Bernthal says, "Coolest motherfucker on earth." So this made me curious about this Tracy Letts character. So I Googled him and found that he's an American actor, playwright, and screenwriter. He received the 2008 Pulitzer Prize for Drama for his play August, Osage County, which was later turned into a movie. He's also known for his role in Showtime's Homeland, for which he's been nominated for 2 Screen Actors Guild Awards. He's in the HBO comedy Divorce, and critically acclaimed films The Lovers, Lady Bird, and The Post, the latter 2 of which were nominated for Academy Awards for Best Picture. So he's kind of a big deal. So in Googling him, I'd found that he'd given a talk called How to Live a Creative Life, which I'm about to play for you. It's about 17 minutes. During the talk, he lets the PowerPoint list his 10 points one at a time, which works for the YouTube, but not on audio. So I insert, with my voice, his 10 points during this playback. Here's Tracy Letts in his talk called How to Live a Creative Life.
Hi, thanks for coming. Danny's right. I'm not going to talk so much about what it's like to sit at the desk and try to make something where nothing exists. It's kind of a boring process. It's one you can kind of imagine, in which you are making things up, and you are free associating to make things up, and you are, through trial and error, throwing out ideas, sometimes more quickly than you are getting ideas. It's not the most interesting thing to describe, and frankly, something about that process is very mysterious to me. So what I thought I would do is tell you some ways in which I try to live a creative life, or ways in which I try to live my life that open myself up to ideas, creative impulses. I'm engaged in a lot of creative endeavors as both a writer and an actor, though I have to say, as an actor, primarily it's an act of translation, where I'm taking somebody else's words and I'm communicating those words to an audience. The moment of pure creation, though, is the moment that, as a writer, that I'm simply making something up that wasn't there before. So I came up with 10 little things I do. Now, I'm going to say them as if you should do them. I'm not telling you to do them. I'm just telling you this is what I do in order to live a more creative life. I've never done this before, so.
Don't do anything.
Yeah. Okay, that's number 1. Don't do anything. Don't do anything. Go home, sit on the couch, and stare at a wall for a long time. And don't put on music, and don't talk to anybody, and don't look at your phone. And if that's really boring, then you might look out a window. I'll give you a window. But daydream. Just daydream. Just don't do anything. Just stop doing things. Just sit there. Just sit there for half an hour. Sit there for half an hour, and then the next day, do the same thing. And pretty soon you'll stop thinking about your problems or your schedule or your failings, and your mind will start to wander, and you will start to fantasize. You will start to daydream. We've got so much. It's hard sometimes to clear it all out and just sit. Don't fall asleep. Don't meditate. Just sit there. That's the first one.
Stop listening to NPR.
Yeah. This might be a little inside baseball, right? I recognize that I'm speaking to people who have come to the MCA for Chicago Ideas Week, while the Bears are playing, and so you're probably NPR listeners. If I were in Tulsa, it might say stop listening to Rush Limbaugh, but we're here in Chicago and Illinois, so I'm going to say stop listening to NPR. It really shouldn't say stop listening to NPR. It should say just don't listen to so much NPR. People who listen to too much NPR, they start to just regurgitate some of the same ideas, and actually the skin starts to get a little sallow. Too much NPR is not good for the skin. it's not good to get too many of your ideas from any one source. You should probably vary the sources from where information is coming at you. I like NPR. It's well done. Here's another thing about it. I talked about sitting on a couch not doing anything. Where do you get some of your best ideas? In the shower, because there's nothing else to do in the shower. You're showering automatically, so you're sitting there, you're letting your mind wander while you're in the shower. Hopefully, you're sitting on the couch not doing anything, and your mind can wander while you're sitting on the couch. Another great place, though, to let your mind wander is when you're in the car. Turn off the radio. Just turn it off. You don't really need to hear the story on NPR. You don't really need to listen to the Terry Gross interview with Jeff Daniels from 5 years ago. It's really not important. So,
Get out of the way.
Get out of the way. When you're sitting there thinking your thoughts on the couch or in the car or in the shower, a sensor appears. Your own personal sensor appears and says, stop thinking about that. Don't think about that. That's wrong to think about. That's what you're thinking about is illegal. What you're thinking about is immoral. What you're thinking about is, that's horrible. Stop thinking along those lines. Think whatever you want. Think whatever you want. Think of the most venal, vile, disgusting, disturbing thoughts you possibly can. Get rid of the censor and just let your mind go wherever it goes. Don't stop it. Get out of your own ideas' ways. The truth is that those thoughts you're having are organic. They're part of who you are, from the most venal to the most noble. Get out of their way and let those thoughts happen.
Stop drinking.
Well, I have to admit, this is kind of personal to me. I've been sober for over 20 years. But the point about stopping drinking is that in terms of a creative life, if you've ever been a sober person talking to a drunk person, then you're aware that they have nothing to say. They have nothing to add to the conversation. They're not going to be helpful. They are perhaps funny because they're stupid, but they are by and large destructive. I know this myself from when I was drinking. It destroys creative impulses. So I'm not telling you to stop drinking. I'm sure you enjoy drinking, and you should all keep drinking. But if you want to live a creative life, maybe you should stop drinking, or at least don't drink so much. Stop drinking so much. Now, I was going to also, I limited it to 10, so I didn't add this one. The next one was going to be do drugs, which is different than stop drinking. Now, being a sober person for over 20 years, I haven't done drugs in a very long time, but I can tell you that when I did drugs, it did, in fact, foster some creative thinking in a way that drinking never did. So stop drinking, but do drugs. But you know, I can't really encourage that. There are also some young people here, so I shouldn't encourage that too strongly. And certainly don't do any of that and drive.
Masturbate.
Yeah. Okay. Sometimes when I'm in rehearsals on a play, and I come up with a particularly good line in the rehearsal room, one of the actors will say, "Hey, that's pretty good," and I'll say, "You know, they don't give you a Pulitzer Prize for jerking off." And then I follow that up by saying, "Because if they did, I'd have a lot more Pulitzer Prizes." You probably think that I mean this literally, and I do. Masturbation is playing with yourself. And that's something that a creative person has to do. You have to play with yourself. It involves the body, it involves the mind, and it involves, again, unchecked fantasy. You are allowed to think whatever you want to think. You are allowed to think about whatever gets you off. And that is prime material for the creative mind. Masturbate.
Lie.
Lie. Well, it's the first creative act, right? The first time you, as a child, are challenged to make something up on the spur of the moment. You took the baseball bat and you shoved it down into the drainage hole in the basement. And now you've gotten in trouble for it, and you have to create a reason why you shoved the baseball bat down into the drainage hole. And you will, in fact, create in the moment. There's another reason to lie, because the truth is rarely interesting. You know, I heard John Irving speaking once, and he said that all of his books started out as his autobiography. And then he started to realize how boring his life was, and he began to lie about it, and it would turn into his next novel. So since you're lying anyway, and let's face it, we're all lying. We've all lied a lot. I think the key here is that stay true to yourself, know thyself, and know what it is you're doing when you lie. But when you're talking to me, or when I'm talking to you, let's make shit up. The story you're telling me is almost certainly not interesting. And I have very little of interest I want to share with you, so let's lie about things. Leo Burnett, I used to work there as a secretary. It was called secretary back then still. I wasn't an assistant, I was a secretary. And I got fired from Leo Burnett because I got my boss pregnant. That's a lie.
Steal.
Steal. Steal all of your ideas. You don't have any new ideas. They're all already out there. They've all been used. There are way too many stories in the world. There are too many television shows. You can't keep up with them all. There's too many books. There's too much information. Just steal. Sometimes when I'm struggling for an idea, I just go over to something like the film encyclopedia, and I just flip through it, and I find some bad movie, and I just read the description of that movie. I go, oh, well, there's an idea. I'll just steal that. And I just go over, and as soon as I put it into my body, as soon as I put it into my brain and into my process, by the time it comes out, it doesn't look anything like what it originally looked like. I've stolen it all. Everything I wrote was stolen. Some of it is, you know, it's shot through my own experiences, it's shot through my own history, my family, my beliefs, all of that stuff. But everything, it's all stolen. There's nothing new. Good artists borrow, great artists steal. I don't know who originally said that. It's a great line. It's absolutely true. But just don't get in your way about stealing. Feel good about stealing.
Get help.
You should probably see somebody. Chances are you need a little help. I know that I do. I know that I've seen shrinks in my life. Maybe because of some of these other things on the list, I've needed to see shrinks in my life. But, you know, sometimes they can really help when they're good, and it's hard to find good ones. Sometimes they can really help you break patterns. And sometimes the key to creative thinking is breaking habits. Particularly bad habits, or at least discovering the reasons why you keep doing the same things over and over and over again. I know I shouldn't fall in love with that crazy girl, but I did it again. I know I shouldn't have gotten drunk and gotten behind the wheel. I did it again. Why do I keep doing these things? And of course, you know, it goes back to shoving the baseball bat in the drain pipe or whatever. It goes back to some old stuff. But if you can break those patterns, you can sometimes free up. Well, you can free yourself. You can free yourself. So I suggest you get some help.
Read fiction.
This is the only one I feel a little self-righteous about because I'm worried. You know, I think most people, maybe most people who listen to NPR or most people who are involved in the creative arts are worried about this one. This is starting to die, this business right here, reading fiction. And it's dying because, you know why it's dying. It's dying because of the cell phones and Facebook and all the other stuff. It's starting to kill our. We're not reading books anymore. We're not reading fiction anymore. There is no better way to enter the mind of another person than by reading their fiction. You will not get a better window into the experience of your fellow man than you will by reading a book. So when you're done sitting there for half an hour, pick up a fucking book and read it for 2 fucking hours.
Don't create anything. It already exists.
This one's important. I sometimes improvise with Dave and TJ. They're David Pasquesi and TJ Jagodowski. They're 2 improvisers. They work out of I.O. primarily. They've been doing it a long time. They're arguably the best improvisers in the world. For those of you who have not seen the show, here's how it works. They come out and they say, I'm Dave, this is TJ. Thank you all for coming. Trust us, this is all made up. Lights go down. 5 seconds later, lights come back up, and they, not having spoken about it beforehand, not taking any suggestions from the audience, they create a play for an hour, about an hour-long play out of thin air. I sometimes improvise with Dave and TJ. When one of them's gone, they'll call and they'll ask me to do it, or we'll do a 3-way. I've rehearsed with them, and rehearsing something like that that's completely made up is actually kind of tricky. But one of the things they rehearse the openings of the scene. So that moment when the lights come up and you're looking at each other. And we will do this. Lights up, we look at each other. And then Dave says, all right, stop, where are we? And I say, well, there's a body of water right here. And Dave says, that's right, and what's back up here? I said, well, there's a little gazebo or something, or a porch or something, almost like a, that's right. And what's the weather like? I was like, well, it's sunny, it's bright, it's a, bright fall day. He said, that's right. We know where we are. It's already there. We're already in the space. It's not magic, and it's not a lie. We're already there. It already exists because it's already part of us. It's just about finding it in the other person. And when you're Rodin takes a look at a block of stone, and he sees inside the block of stone a hand, and he believes his job is to liberate the hand that is already inside the block of stone. Similarly, anything I write, I'm not making it up. It's already here. It's already inside of me. So take the onus off of yourself for creation and just allow what already exists to be. I think that's what a lot of the things on the list are about, actually. It's about getting out of the way. It's about letting creative impulses take over, and it's about allowing a creation to exist without outside influence. It's mine. Creation is entirely personal. I should say it's yours. It's entirely personal. It's as individual as everybody in here. It's the moment of saying, I'm here. Here's what I am. Here's what I have to say. Thank you.
So the main takeaway I get from this talk with Tracy Letts is permission and license to think outside the box. And you don't have to be an author, a screenwriter, or a musician, or an artist of any kind to need creativity in your life. So I hope you benefited from those 10 points from Tracy Letts. I want to point out that this is how my life works. I was creating a talk about how it's difficult to live with oneself, to accept oneself, to be concerned about how other people experience you, and to try to align yourself with making the world a better place and being somebody that somebody wants to be with and excited about hanging out with. And then I was reminded of my Mark Maron experience on that podcast where I heard them talk about a guy. I literally went back and listened to that episode till I found who they were talking about, which was Tracy Letts, which led me to a Google search, which led me to his YouTube talk. And, I just presented it all here because it benefited me, so I thought it'd benefit you. But that's how my life works. And I wanted to point out that I used to think that that was the leading of the Holy Spirit. I used to think that God was leading me into truth. But now I know that my thoughts lead me to things. My thoughts lead me to look up things. And because of the benefit of the internet, I have access to a lot of things. And one thing led to another, and I ended up down a rabbit hole. And no one in their wildest imagination could have imagined where I started and where I ended up. And I love that shit. I love not knowing where this is taking me, not caring, and just, almost like a glider without an engine. I'm just riding the thermals or something that takes me into a place that's very exciting and usually edifying. And I used to give God thanks for that. And now I don't need to give thanks to it other than I'm just having fun and I'm expanding as a person. And that is certainly one of the meanings in which I find myself, this meaningful, godless existence. I'm giving it meaning, and these little pursuits and rabbit holes are giving my life meaning, and I love it. The internet is now my access to thought upon thought, learning upon learning, deep calling unto deep, and I'm the one steering my destiny. Or am I? Because who is I? As Marie would ask. Marie is challenging me beyond imagination. It's so exciting to know that someone can evolve as fast as Marie. We all can say that we're not the same person we were 10 years ago. But I wonder if, with the emergence of the internet and access to information and self-awareness and all that we now know, if people are evolving at an accelerated rate. It sure seems like it. And while the old guards of the old schools of backward thinking die off, like VP Mike Pence, and their delusional support of the scourge of humanity that is Donald J. Trump, that if new life is budding on the surface with people like Marie and younger people, and they are growing faster and wilder like rhizomatic plant life, networking roots under the surface, growing horizontally rather than vertically, extending sideways from the main root. That's rhizomes. And giving the truth a higher chance of surviving in tough environmental conditions in which we find ourselves. So if there's a thesis to what I'm learning from Marie, it's affirming the name of this show. Everyone's agnostic. Just about the time you think you know, new information comes into view, and you either adapt to it and align with it, or you find yourself on the wrong side of reality and history. Discovery is life. Arrival is death. What is this moment saying? What is it singing? What is it teaching? Is my ear to the ground? Am I listening? Am I teachable? Or do I think I already know? How we answer those questions is key to creating and expanding the new world that is purged of old know-it-all certainty and open to what is mine to learn here. We taped this conversation on March 10th, 2019. The music on this episode is by Dave Weckl. Thanks for listening, and be a yes-sayer to what is.